Hey, stop cursing. That's how I know. All right, we are going to just get started in a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds or so as folks join the call. It's so good to share community with everybody. Welcome on this Monday afternoon, early afternoon, maybe early, depending on where you are. It's 11 a.m. here in the Pacific region, in Los Angeles, where I'm coming from. Now, where are you coming from? Let the crew know.
Sure, I'm coming from the Bay Area, Oakland, California.
The Bay Area. So we have California from the top to the bottom represented. Thank you everybody for joining today and for introducing yourselves in the chat. For those of you who just joined maybe a few seconds ago, my name is Jose Ocaño. I am the founder and CEO of Hatching. We are a consulting firm where we help people live better and work better at the intersection of the human-animal bond. And so I'm excited to be co-hosting this call with my good friend on now, and I'll let him introduce himself.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Daniel Randolph. I am the temporary volunteer coordinator at the Oakland Animal Services. We are a city-run shelter who do a lot in our community. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today to experience uh, whatever you guys have to offer. Me and Jose is ready to have fun with you guys for the next hour.
Yes, yes. So we're going to throw a little bit of a remix because 2025, what can I say? It's all about the remix and the unexpected. And so we are having a little shift in our program today. We initially were going to have, and we still will have a fabulous call ahead in some months coming that we will let everybody know. But the call that we were planning to have today has been postponed. And so instead, we are going to have a community check-in because it is already the 27th of 2025. And I feel like 2025 is 2020's very fierce little cousin coming for us a little bit. It's been a busy, intense year from if you're here in California, the fires on the East Coast, we have hurricanes. Last week was the inauguration, and so many different feelings as a new administration comes into power, right? So I feel like 2020 has been a big year. The month of January has been quite a month for many of us. So we wanted to just use this time to connect with each other, build community, and just see how we're all doing. One of the benefits of this community is when we actually get to connect in a really meaningful way and get to learn more about each other, how we're similar, how we're different, how we can support each other. So that's a little bit of what we're going to have planned today. So please be flexible as we go on this journey. This is very much we're pulling this together in the spirit of being of service for everybody today. But with that, I am going to share my screen. So, screen share. Let's see, practice. Menti. Boom. Here. Present. Let's see if it's happening. So, can everybody see the screen? This is a
Good.
really cool platform.
Yep.
There's a few ways to engage. Oh, go ahead, Allison.
No, no, it's just saying we can see it beautifully.
Oh, gracias. So you can scan the QR code. The QR code on your phone should get you directly to this screen, or you can go to menti.com. That's MENTI.com, and you can use that code there, that 57373173. And we got a lot of people already in there. So this is just a test the waters of Menti questions. So easy. What's your favorite color? Like all word clouds, the color that people pick the most of, it'll get bigger. So we got some green, teal. Love it. Irene, was it you who told me that if you stare at the color green, it actually soothes your mind? I don't I you're not on my camera, but I just saw you earlier.
Ah,
Like,
yeah, that was me. I think it's supposed to be soothing to the eyes. And so if you've ever just needed to relax, go outside and you stare at trees or bushes. What I've also so I don't know if anyone can confirm or deny, but I think that even like surgeons might, when they're needing to rest their eyes, they might stare at like green too, like a green piece of paper or something to just rest their eyes. So green's a good color. It's a great color choice.
I love it. I love that green.
Going.
All right, so here we go. I'll wait for Allison to get us back on track.
Okay, we're on track.
Beautiful. All right. So you can see we got 87 responses. So this was just to get us going. So the next one, you should advance. Oh, this is already, we already got it. But here's the question. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? That's the question. All right. I love this. Let's see. The top answer, as much wood as a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Very reasonable response. Yep, 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 yep. Let's see. The next ones, we got 15. All of the wood in the world. It really puts its mind to it. None, because a woodchuck doesn't even actually chuck wood. Okay. And then there's 3%, 700 pounds, based on an estimate of the amount of dirt a woodchuck can dig. So I did some research and found a biologist who endeavored to like answer this question, and it actually is where 3%. So they calculated that if a woodchuck could chuck wood, they would chuck about 700 pounds a year. LOL. There you go. Okay, now for something more real. I mentioned a little of like, things have been stressful for many folks. I spend a lot of time in my conversations with leaders and staff members and just human beings. And it seems like there's a lot of people experiencing your own stress right now. So we got some high, feeling overwhelmed at times, impacting focus and energy, and then right behind that, moderate. We'll talk a little bit about that today. I was having a conversation yesterday with one of my friends who works in healthcare, and we were talking about how like stress is like the underlying thing for that, like of all the ailments, of all the cancers, of all the things, it's like stress induced. And when we think about our nervous system, and our nervous system is, whenever we're feeling stress, we go into a fight mode, maybe we go into a fawn mode, people pleasing, we freeze, we just stop, or we flee, we get the F out of Dodge, like, so when we're stressed, we also go through all of these, we experience our nervous system activation. So all right, so we're in the moderate to high. Same question, but how would you rate your perception of your team stress level? Just curious to see if that's different at all. Yeah. High sense of stress. And the thing about stress too, because like we have our individual stress, but when we're together, I don't know if anyone has heard the term emotional contagion, but it's kind of like it's where we have a shared nervous system, right? So it's like in a crisis mode, if everyone is stressed out, it like spreads like I was going to use a phrase that is not appropriate. It just spreads. So same, very high. So we're experiencing that, and our teams are experiencing that. And I don't think this is uncommon necessarily either, right? I think stress, burnout, fatigue are all things we hear a lot of in our industry. We all experience. This is the last question, and I want you to maybe even just like honestly take a breath, close your eyes, and really ask yourself this question. How is your heart? Hurting, open, sad, sad, heavy, calm, tired. Yeah. I'm sad to see some of these things, but I take this weird solace in knowing I'm not alone in feeling this. Like I have been feeling jittery and worried and heavy and more anxious than I've ever felt, having trouble sleeping when I normally don't have trouble sleeping, losing some appetite, like so I think, yeah, heavy, resilient, unemotional, anxious. Yeah. So I'm gonna unshare my screen, but I'll actually give folks a few more, actually I'll give it a few more seconds for folks to continue to share. Excited. Oh, wow. Hello, everyone. Thanks for, was anybody, I'm just curious, and you can put in the chat, is anyone surprised by, anything that people said, that their own stress level, their team stress level, kind of where people are feeling?
I'm not. This is something that me and my team's been going through for a while. And so not surprised that a lot of people around the country is feeling the same way. Anyone else?
Can you all see me or hear me okay, or did I freeze?
Froze for a minute.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Okay. I'm curious, is Taima on the call? Oh, there you are. Hi. So if you want to unmute, some folks might remember Coach Time Off from last year's community conversation. Time Off, someone that I work with, I know people on this call works with as a coach. She helps me on a personal level. She helps us with our business at Hatching. Ty, when you see, if you want to just introduce yourself, a little bit about your work, and what are you seeing in your work that, aligns with, people feeling sad and overwhelmed?
I am seeing a lot of what people shared. Yeah, it's just it's prevalent. Many people have a lot of different things on their heart. And also what I've realized or witnessed, both within myself and within the community that I work with, is that it's not steady, it's not static. It goes up and down and back and forth, and sometimes we feel resilient and excited and grateful and hopeful, and then sometimes we feel worried and anxious, and it's just this back and forth experience. And I think that what I've realized is there seems to be like pressure. I feel like I've seen a lot of people feeling environmental pressure of some sort. So that's what I've been seeing.
Yeah. What do you like normally? And thank you. Like I this morning I sent Ty a text and I'm like, hey, like, do you have capacity to jump on a call? My spidey senses tell me that I think the collective is feeling not okay. Or many of us. There are some folks who are, but I think there are some folks, and many folks in the room are feeling some kind of a way. Can you be on here? Because Ty is someone who helps many people navigate their thoughts, their feelings, their actions, how to process that in your body. Ty, what are some things that we could do? Is there anything we could practice? Like, should we try switching for folks on this call that might be helpful? Just to like, because you always talk to me about going into a state of coherence. So
Mhm.
actually, can you tell us a little bit about what coherence is and why it's something you help all of your clients cultivate?
Yeah, for sure. And I also have a link to throw in the chat if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I'll talk about the link a little bit too. But coherence is a state of being in which you are not in fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. You are not in an emergency response. And when you're not in an emergency response, aka survival mode, you're in a state of creation. And from this place of creation or coherence, that's where the solutions to the problems that we face are born. It's harder to find long-term sustainable solutions from a state of survival mode. From a state of survival mode, you'll keep attracting just getting by type of solutions. It'll get you to the next step, but there's still this underlying sense of survival. So, or burnout, or there's different words for it, but underlying sense of uneasiness, unwell, So that's why it's so important to know what coherence is, know how to identify when you're in a state of survival, and then start to practice interrupting survival mode, because we can't control the environment in which we live. We can't control the circumstances in which we are navigating, but we can choose how to approach it. We could approach it from within a state of survival or within a state of coherence. And I could go on and on about that, but that's the bottom line, the bullet point. And what I shared in the chat is a website called HeartMath, or heartmath.com. They are the leading pioneer researchers. They've been researching for 30 years. They bring the science of heart coherence to the world. So I put that there. There's so much good information from a scientific perspective on the importance of coherence, what coherence is, some techniques, etc.
Thank you. You're always so great with sharing resources. So I wonder, while we have you for a few minutes, because I know you have another call, could we try some of these techniques that you use on folks like myself and others to help cultivate coherence? You know, because it's like I'm someone who's very intellectual. Like I intellectualize all of my problems. Like I know what coherence is. I know that I should have it and I know it'll be good for me. But my body still feels all of these things, you know? So like how do I get from like knowing that I want to be coherent, but I'm not coherent?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Well, in the essence of sharing HeartMath, I thought I would bring one of their techniques to the call, and it's the HeartMath quick coherence technique. And so what I love about this is that we can do it anytime. And so if y'all want to get really deep into it right now, I invite you to get as deep into it as you want. You can turn your camera off, you can close your eyes, it won't be very long, or you can just keep your eyes open if you want. There's various degrees to how you can participate here. So should I just proceed with walking us through the technique? Okay, cool. So
Yeah, thank you.
at this point, I invite everyone to just start to deepen your breath at your own pace. When you slow down your breathing, you send signals through the brain and through the body that there's no emergency. There's no reason to fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. And so if you could just at least remember one thing to deepen the breathing, that's already going to help you create a state of coherence. So we'll spend a couple seconds doing this, breathing deeply at your own pace, slowing down the breath, slowing down the body. In states of emergency, we have to respond quickly. So when we slow down, we send those signals through the nervous system and the brain and the body that we are not in a state of emergency. So as you do this, I invite you to bring your focus to the center of your chest, your heart center. And as you focus in this area, start to feel the breath coming and going from this area. As you breathe in and out at your own pace, deeper than normal, slower than normal, through the heart center, start to think of something that's really easy to feel appreciation for. And work to feel that sense of appreciation as you breathe in and out of the heart center. And whenever you're ready, you can just start to bring your attention back to the present moment. And if you've had your eyes closed, open them and start to bring yourself back to the now. So this is a HeartMath technique. It's their quick coherence technique. The link that I sent will have their version of the exercise.
Gosh, thank you, Ty. You know, like there's a few things that Ty helps with, and like there's switching techniques, there's tapping. I highly recommend those of you who have Instagram, follow Ty. They give so much free information on their channels. And Ty, I appreciate you jumping on and being here with us and providing a little coherence and some knowledge. We'll keep the conversation going today about coherence and a little more of what that is. Like I never had that concept until you brought it to me. And language and definition unlock our perceptions and perspectives. And that perception and perspective places us on how we actually experience our lives. So, like, I feel lately through working with you over years, like you helped me through my mom passing, you helped me through the transition from best friends to working for myself. You've helped me what it means to like be an entrepreneur and work for myself. You've helped me reconcile what does it mean to be a brown boy, a brown gay boy in America right now, and so I'm grateful to you. And so drop your info in the chat too, so people want to connect with you, they can.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's been a joy working with you. And one thing that I want to highlight is that when I work with people, I hold space, and then as a coach, I listen very deeply to what you're saying, and then I ask clarifying questions. And so all the things that you're saying, hey, you helped me with this, you helped me with that, I helped you see that wisdom that's already within you. So it was a joint process for sure.
Yeah, thanks, Ty. I also see we have Jacqueline Hernandez on the call. She was someone else I've been really thinking about. I know many of you might be following Jackie and know Jackie. And, last night me and Jackie were texting and we were doing some coherence things, because Jackie, in the spirit of creating this community, I'd love for you to share a little bit about who you are and what you're working on right now in this, and, we know that people aren't doing well. And I think based on what happened at your shelter yesterday and some of the things you're experiencing, we understand why. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So my name is Jackie Hernandez. I am the Vice President of Shelter Operations and Strategy at Nebraska Humane Society, formerly Best Friends. I was with Best Friends formerly. But yeah, I mean, what a wild time to be in animal welfare. Empath by nature, most of us are. And unfortunately, yesterday we had an individual who works for our team taken by ICE at our shelter. So there's a lot of mixed emotions, anger, fear, sadness. We at Nebraska Humane Society work exclusively with the Immigration and Refugee Center. So we hire individuals who need work, who need sponsorship. And so this was very unexpected. The advocate for this individual was not around, and unfortunately, I was called after the fact. So there's still a lot of questions in the air, and we're trying to work through this. But one of the things that I quickly realized is that not even before this, I didn't expect it to hit as directly as it did. But there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of overwhelming information. So I started a group called Solar, and it was originally intended just to be a space by Latinas for Latinos. And quickly I realized that this needs to be a safe space for everybody, just because we are one very close-knit family, or we should be. So currently in Solar, which is a Facebook group, I'm just spending as much energy as I can giving fact-checked resources, knowing your rights, knowing your workers' rights, what can and cannot happen. We learned a lot as an organization through this incident. And now we have policies in place if and when ICE were to show up again. And we're a space where if you have questions, need a specific resource for a specific state, we want to make those connections. And we also want to create a community where we can help each other regardless of what your skills are and what your capacity is, right? I mean, it could be as simple as sharing the information, or more involved, maybe if you know Spanish, you can help us translate, or any other language too. I think that's one of the other things we're forgetting, is that while the targeted audiences seem to be those of the Latino community, there's actually many other communities that are being impacted as well, that we're starting to see here in Omaha, Nebraska, and I'm sure in many other communities. And while I can only speak literally for the Latino community, I'm sure that there are other communities that are looking for advice.
just like a collective breath
Yeah.
for you. When I read your post, I was like, mad. Mad is
Mhm.
not the right word. It was enraged and
Mhm.
then so sad. And then my first thing was just to, reach out to you. And it's just because it's so like, it's like, oh, new policy, and it's like at a shelter. So like,
Mhm.
wow, that's fast,
Yeah.
and that you sprung into inspired action to provide advocacy and resources about rights. And like last night when we were texting, one of the, I don't know if you want to tell folks about the activity that helped you ground
Oh,
you, like, because I think this is something that in the face of crisis, like maybe share a little bit about where you were and like what you did that helped to give you clarity about like how to be of service.
full transparency and vulnerability. I was in the middle of a meltdown in my kitchen. I was making my kids dinner and full tears, right? Because it was an overwhelming amount of I took it upon myself to try to save the world. And so thankfully Jose's spidey senses kicked in. He reached out and, really working first and foremost, he told me to breathe, something I was forgetting to do in the moment. And I think a lot of us do as well. But secondly, just all of my thoughts needed to be processed. I needed to stay calm. I needed to organize those thoughts. So, he gave me a series of questions, things that I can change, things that I can influence, and things I cannot change. And that really helped me reflect on just those things, right? Where should I put my focus? What are things that even if I put all of my energy into, I probably couldn't change, at least not anytime soon? And then more importantly, how, when you think of influence, it's a ripple effect. Thankfully, because I was loud, so were others, right? I provided a space for others to speak freely, regardless of what side they were on. And I think that's also important.
Thank you, Jackie. I know you have some meetings to run to. I wanted to just you to have the opportunity to know that you have a community of people who are with you and with your team,
Mhm.
especially that team member who's been impacted. Um, we want to encourage you to go ahead and drop anything from Solar into the chat where people can follow on Facebook, have those resources, distribute those resources. And, like we said yesterday, this is the marathon. Like, sadly, this is not going to be the end of this. And so we are going to have to really create capacity and clarity through coherence so that we can really be thoughtful about like what can I control, what can I influence, what don't I have control over, how
Mhm.
do i how do I put my oxygen mask on so that I can be the most helpful for as long as I can and want to be helpful for, so I love you, I appreciate you. I'm a text away. Well, actually, we have some plans, so we
Yes,
will, yeah,
absolutely.
but
I'll drop the resources for everyone and I'll include my email. Feel free to reach out. We are all working through this actively in the moment, so I will give whatever information I do have to potentially help your communities as well. So I appreciate the space you've provided me and I wish you all
thank you,
luck.
Jackie.
Thank you.
Wow. So, I think yesterday when I was talking to Jackie, it made me really think and reflect on the conversations I've had throughout the week. And, I was talking to someone on a call who's like, they're taking care of an aging parent, and there's all of these happening in their life that they're like, I haven't even seen the news. I don't even know what's happening since this. And it's like, it's just everyone, even like my best friends, my friends, the people I coach, like I feel like we're all climbing something, you know? And that's life. Like that actually, like if I tap into like what my nana and my grandmother would say to me, she would say like, "Se la vida." It goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it goes down. And when we, like there's this model called VUCA world. And it's I started talking a little bit about it for folks who are on the call before we pressed record. And it's this acronym called VUCA, VUCA. And it's this idea that the world is inherently volatile, up and down, right? Volatile, that roller coaster. It is inherently uncertain. That's the U. By the way, our nervous system, the quickest way to activate that fight, flight, freeze, fawn response is uncertainty. It's the thing that right away makes us feel, I'm not safe. I don't know what this is. So uncertainty. VUC. C is complex. Things are very complex. Even like as much like right now I go on Facebook, there's so many lines in the sand, you're this, you're that, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this situation is so much more complex and complicated than than this or that. And then there's the ambiguity of it all. And it's this idea that the world is inherently those things. And so part of what we then need to do with that information is how do we get to a place of cultivating coherence, that safety, and then how do we take action? Because one of the ways we move our lives forward is action. And so I just wanted to open it up for folks too and say, like, how, we heard Jackie share, we heard Ty. Is there anybody else who wants to, unmute and just share a little bit about what you're experiencing? How are you?
I'd like to say something. I'm April from San Diego. Hi, everybody. Recently, I had my volunteer coordinator steal some cats from our Petco location, which I worked really hard to get. And then I realized after speaking to Petco, she never actually filed the paperwork, so we weren't even supposed to be there. But if anybody has any suggestions on how to get those cats back, I mean, she's lied to the cops, and the cops tell us it's actually not a felony because she worked for us at the time that the cats disappeared. So, or if anybody's seen the cats, I have them posted on my Instagram. If anybody, it's San Diego Last Chance Ranch, by the way, is the rescue I work with and I founded. So it's the initials rescue so SDLCR rescue, and that's my Instagram. If anybody's seen those cats, there's still 2 missing. We were able to find 4 because somebody saw my Instagram post and let us know she had them. But if anybody has any suggestions on how to get back stolen cats or how to find them, that would be amazing. I just don't know what else to do. The lady's lying. She won't talk to me. The cops won't do anything. So just throwing that out there.
Thank you, April. Maybe put your email in the chat so that if anybody wants to, you guys can probably take it offline and kind of connect with April if you have any thoughts or suggestions for her. Thanks, April.
And good idea, Allison. Posting it in the Maddie's Pet Forum might be a great place also for that conversation.
Yep. How is everyone? How are folks? Lucy, how are you, my friend?
See, I was just about to come on here and kind of y'all speak so eloquently and emotionally intelligently, and I love it so much. Because it's a lot, there's so many feelings, right? But how do you articulate them? What do you put words to? What do I'm not so eloquent. I can be, but I think about the movie Inside Out and Inside Out 2. I don't know if y'all have seen it. It's a Disney Pixar joint. And so they just came out with the sequel. And it's there's joy is what you're born with. And then all these other characters kind of come in. And then you hit puberty. And then these other characters come in. And then they combine stuff. And they make these little ball things or whatever. So I like to tangibly and visibly kind of see things when I'm all right, who's taking over? It's the angry fire guy right now, or the really morose one, right? And so just to kind of okay, how do I visualize these feelings or these experiences when I'm I just want to throw my laptop. So yeah, so just if you're more of a visual type person, whatever, because y'all just speak so eloquently. And then also in February is gonna be my 11 years of sobriety. So so the whole serenity prayer thing, it's very much that what can you control, what can't you, and the wisdom to know the difference. And just kind of making that whole thing kind of your go-to, because staying sane in this type of work or just in the world in general is just crazy hard. And I'm gonna try not to cuss because I know this is a recorded thing. So so yeah, but just that I just really appreciate y'all kind of coming up with this space. I love this is our improv era. We're you know what? Stuff canceled. The world's on fire. Things didn't work out, but we're going to make the freaking most of it because we have these amazing, badass people that are just working their faces off that took an hour out of their chaotic as hell inboxes, or their shelters or their, staff, volunteer, what have you stuff, people stealing cats. I'll email you, by the way. I'm gonna look at your email address and I'm going to hit you off offline. Because there's actually, it's not, well, it's harder than you think, but it's not as hard as you think. Yeah, it's, yeah, just thank you so much for holding this all together. Cause it's a beast right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, Lucy. I loved your conversation last week, especially because you brought in like the 4 agreements. And this morning, I was really thinking about like, don't take it personal. And what does it mean? Because like, or when the finger is in your face being wagged, you know? The idea of it is like people's response to you oftentimes is their own experience of you, which is not always your responsibility. Our responsibility is to like know our values and to show up with and treat people with dignity and kindness and respect. And then beyond that, it's up to other people to interpret who we are, you know. And I say that out loud for myself as someone who so badly wants to be liked and valued by people. And who's I gave up my identity and I gave up all my power to my job once upon a time, where I was like, my value was what I produced, how many animals I saved, how many conferences I spoke at, how many, all of those kinds of things that are not real indicators for like deep fulfillment. So I appreciate you, Lucy. Donnell, I have a question for you, my friend. So you and your organization have been going through lots of change. You're in an interim role, you've had a director leave, you have a new one come in. So you've had like a lot of VUCA, lots of VUCA. How are you getting by, like day to day?
I had to take a break. I had to pull back and focus a little bit more on myself just so I can stay sane. I'm lucky to have a great group I work with who help each other, and especially when we're in need. And having so much turmoil changes over the last 6 months has been a lot, but I'm very thankful for the team I work with. I couldn't do it without them. And so the break was what I really needed to move forward.
Mhm. Did you have any guilt taking the break? Like
A lot of guilt, a lot of guilt.
did
Even,
how did like what took you like did it to take a break?
sorry, say it again.
Like did you feel any guilt taking the break?
Oh, I had a huge guilt. You can even ask Sheila. I sent her an email late at night one time, like, I am stressed out. I don't know if I can do it. Uh, I have a lot on my plate at this moment. I felt guilty leaving my job on time, putting things down when I was off, setting real clear boundaries so I can have the energy. So, yes, I still feel guilty for taking some time off to work on myself, even though that's more of a me thing than anyone else. But yeah, I did feel guilty.
Yeah. I always like think because it's so common. We all feel so guilty taking time off and all the things. And there's two things I think of when I think about guilt. First is something that Taima taught me, and she's like, transform your guilt into gratitude. Instead of saying you're sorry all the time, say thank you. Like, I'm so sorry I'm late. I'm so sorry. Like, instead of being thank you for waiting for me. I'm so grateful for waiting for me. So it's really interesting, like switching it's like a muscle, like switching from guilt to gratitude. And then the other thing I ask myself is, what is the guilt telling me? Like, what is this guilt tell me about myself? Like, do I feel guilty because deep down I don't feel like I would be valuable if I don't show up and if I'm not available to you at every email and everything you need out of me, you know? So it's interesting because then I'm like, wait, no, that's not true. I don't want to believe that. So it tells me like my guilt leads me to like some belief work that I need to do oftentimes, you know? But I think, yeah, when you said the time off, I was like, ooh, I bet my boy felt guilty
Very, but I'm
because
glad
we
we're
all do.
having this conversation and you're helping me with a little bit of my guilt, letting that go just because I can do
Yeah.
so.
So we have a little bit of time. Well, we have, yeah, so let's see, it's going to be 40. We have 10 minutes. I'd like us to do something in the spirit of gratitude. So a lot of times we get very stuck because we get stuck on a storyline, we get stuck on a feeling, on a thought, and it either moves us to inaction or we're taking the kind of action that's coming from our ego. It's coming from, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable enough, whether we overcompensate or whether we just hold back. You know, something happens in that kind of energy. And gratitude is one of the only things that can move us beyond our anxiety because it's inspired action. So I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna put a timer on. You're gonna see a timer appear on the screen. And I want us to do something. I'm gonna put 5 minutes on the clock. And in 5 minutes, I want everyone to pull out their phone or their email. And I want you to write a thank you note to yourself or to someone who could really use it. Who is someone who could just use that thank you? Maybe it's your mom, it's a family member, but I want you to spend 5 minutes thinking about it and doing it. And then I want us to spend our last 5 minutes just talking about who you sent it to, what it looks like, and how that feels. So I'm putting 5 minutes on the clock. The prompt is who or what are you grateful for? And you're going to take action and you're going to let them know. All right, if you want to start wrapping up, the timer is going to go off in like 30 seconds. Feels like New Year's. Should I count it down? 10, 9.
8, 7, 6, 5.
I haven't been up for that in years. I love the sound it makes at the end, though. I feel like I just ran a race. So, the reason I wanted to do this for everyone is it really can change our whole chemistry when we step outside of ourselves and we send a gratitude, a thank you, an acknowledgement. And I did this workshop. I do these workshops where we go when we teach compassion and coherence. So if any of you are interested in like myself and Ty and some of what we talked about doing this work with you and your team, you can hit me up. I think they're going to put my email in the chat. But it's this beautiful exercise where people actually color these thank you cards. So people are like in the for an hour, we're talking, they're coloring, and then in the end they write this thank you note. And I ask them to give the thank you note. And then when they return next week for part two of the court of the workshop, I ask, how did it go? It is always the most beautiful stories of like the two that stick out to me is someone who gave it to their mom, and they're like, I haven't written my mom a thank you card since I was like a little kid, so she didn't expect her 50-year-old daughter to be writing this handwritten just thank you card for no reason. It's not her birthday, it's not Mother's Day, it's just a card. And she said that like her mom just wept and that she wept, and I was like, how did you feel going into the rest of your week? And she's like, so much better, so much more connected. And a woman in the class also gave the card to her daughter. And her daughter has this bunk bed, and she posted the card up on her ceiling. So it's the first thing her daughter looks at. And it's just like how these little moments, as dark and as twisted as the world can seem, these little moments that seem little actually the small moments. And so it's just a reminder that like we have total power. We could send 100 thank yous a day if we want to. And whenever I'm feeling really crappy, I have this box of thank you notes that I just go and I just start writing thank you cards. And by the end of like 20 minutes, I always feel better. So it's just a reminder of gratitude. So I don't know if anybody wants to unmute and share a little bit about who they wrote their thank you card to or what that experience was like. Like, do you feel a little better from how when you started this call, you know?
I put my thank you. This is Carla. I put my thank you in there and I wrote it to Benjamin. Benjamin is my dog.
I love that. Thanks, Benjamin. Yeah, and others feel free to put in the chat if you want to share in the chat. I know there's 100 people. It's not always the most comfortable unmuting and sharing something like that, but we have a few more moments if anybody wants to.
Jose, it's Allison. I just want to say I was looking for your cell phone number so I could text you gratitude, thank you, and Donnell too. For some reason, you're not on my phone, but I just want you to know how grateful we all are to both of you today. Outstanding session.
Thank you. Donnell, who was yours? Who are you thinking?
It's funny. I had dinner with my cousin last night, and she's told me that I need to be nicer to myself. So I actually wrote a note to myself, thanking me for my bravery, my compassion, my thoughtfulness of others, and that it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to take breaks. It's okay to be you. And so that really touched me. I didn't think I would get there today. I needed it. It's funny. I'm wearing a jacket that says "You are enough," not knowing that that was actually for me today. So that's what I'm grateful for. So
I love it. I love you. I think that's so beautiful. We can all give ourselves a little love. Like literally, sometimes like take a moment to yourself, put your hands on your heart and breathe and just feel your heartbeat. Just feel your presence. So thank you to everyone for rolling with us and being flexible. This isn't the call you expected today, but maybe it's the call you needed. Like I said, I'd love to connect with you. link up with me if you're interested in anything working with hatching. I'm very excited about our workshops, coherence and compassion, how we bring the two together to really create sustainable, healthy change for ourselves, for our volunteers, for our community members. It all starts with us, our nervous system, our belief systems, y'all. It's the foundation for everything. And so after 20 plus years of doing this work, it's what I've realized, like how I can be the most helpful. So if you're interested in that, please check it out. I also have a new course on Maddie's University, the Live Better, Work Better course. It's self-paced. I'll be teaching that in a few months. So also, if you're interested, you can put in the chat interested, so that I can get a sense of like who will be interested for in this course that we'll be offering. So Donnell, thank you so much, my friend. We have been on a journey for today. I appreciate you. I appreciate the Maddie's team, Sheila and Allison, and everybody. Do something good for yourself today. Do something good for your neighbor. Let's make the world a better place. All right.
Thank you.
Adios. Be well.